Howdy, howdy, and welcome to another wonderful trash take. So apparently today, Trump held a roundtable with a bunch of journalists on the ground who have been assaulted by Antifa all around the country and talking about how bad Antifa actually is to educate the news, since they've been blatantly lying about Antifa and only showing the propaganda that Antifa wants them to see, basically. Basically, all the boomers coming out during the daytime where everything's peaceful. That's when the news vans are there. The moment nighttime rolls around, they all leave town, and here comes Antifa with mace and weapons attacking journalists, like Nick Serrato, who almost died, and Nick Shirley, who almost died, and every other journalist in Portland that's been there for more than one night that's been assaulted, which is like every single journalist for the most part. So Trump actually sat down on a round table with these people and talked with them. So I'm going to be watching that today. I'm going to play the video a little faster because this did just happen, but he's a slow man, and I'm going to try to speed through it as well. And I'm not going to try to pause you as much because this is long. So bear with me here. But without further ado, all right, let's see how this goes.
Thank you very much. I was just dealing with people from the Middle East, Arab people, and other people on the potential peace deal for the Middle East. Peace for the Middle East.
Yeah, finally.
We hope it's going to come true, but it's very close.
Did he make a promise on ending the war of Gaza?
Over there, great negotiators, and there are,
I don't think he did.
Fortunately, great negotiators on the other side also. But it's something I think that will happen. Got a good chance of happening. I may go there sometime toward the end of the week, maybe on Sunday.
With a full military escort?
We'll see, but there's a very good chance that negotiations are going along very well. We're dealing with Hamas and many of the countries. As you know, we have Muslim, all of the Muslim countries are included. All of the Arab countries are included.
Yeah, he got everyone.
And some that are
pretty impressive.
But just about everybody's included. It's never happened before. Nothing like that's happened before. And our final negotiation, as you know, is with Hamas. And it seems to be going well. So we'll let you know if that's...
And then I think today or yesterday, Netanyahu said Iran's weeks away from having intercontinental ballistic nuclear missiles or some shit like that, which is funny because like 2 months ago, we bombed their entire nuclear facility. And if he's saying they made it again in like 2 months, we're fucked, bro. We're fucked.
We'll be leaving probably on Sunday, maybe Saturday, maybe a little later than...
So we're going to see interviews from Dubai.
It should be clear to all Americans that we have a very serious left-wing terror threat in our country.
Yep.
Radicals associated with the domestic terror group Antifa that you've heard a lot about lately, and I've heard a lot about them for 10 years.
I call them Antifa-tards because they're all a bunch of retards who don't understand that they're not fighting fascism. They're fighting the dude who won the electoral vote and the popular vote. They're fighting a guy using the powers expressly granted him by Congress to deport illegal aliens from this country. The dude who's using all the legal methods, and every time a judge throws a flag up saying he can't do this is overruled by the Supreme Court because he can in fact do this. That's not fascism. That's not. That's you being a flagrant retard and a violent loser.
10 years. And other far-left extremists have been carrying out a campaign of violence against ICE agents and other officials charged with enforcing federal law. In Chicago, anarchists have surveilled at least 4 local ICE facilities and posted diagrams of the buildings online, meaning nothing but bad.
I mean, that's fine. You have the right to look at a building. You have the right to go in public spaces. You have the right to film. You don't have an expectation of privacy in the public. Like that's okay. I mean, it's clear they're trying to use it for terroristic purposes, but that's not illegal.
Accompanied by photos of specific ICE agents that they're targeting. One in particular who's
that's illegal.
Great person.
Yeah, they've already arrested a guy over a bounty.
An Antifa-aligned militant stormed the ICE facility in Texas and then lured officers out of the building before firing dozens of rounds at police. They were crazy, frankly.
That was the communist retard. Rest in piss.
In the neck. And in Portland, Oregon, Antifa thugs have repeatedly attacked our officers and laid siege to federal property in an attempt to violently stop the execution of federal law.
Yep.
Everything we're doing is very lawful.
That's what I've been covering a lot to Portland, Oregon. Did he call it Oregon? Did I hear that right? Anyways, that's the one where it's been pretty violent because the police are working with Antifa and arresting the journalists for defending themselves. Nick Serrato got arrested and they tried to do obstruction or like something in public, I forget, like a public intoxication, but a public obstruction, some shit like that, like being a disturbance to the peace. And they dropped the charges on him, in fact, because he didn't do anything wrong, and they arrested him because they're fucking leftist Antifa that work for the cops as well. We have another video of the journalist got whacked in the eye, where she walks up to the cop and says, "This person assaulted me," and the cop's just like, "Oh, that's crazy, bro. I'm sorry to hear that. Damn, shit, better look next time." Just fucking ignores her, tries to stop the lady, and then immediately just lets her go, doesn't do anything. Fucking wild. The police are complicit in Portland. In Chicago, it doesn't look that bad yet, but Chicago also has the one where the terrorist attack lady assaulted ICE, made death threats of ICE agents online, chased them, slammed into them with their car, and then got shot. And now she today or yesterday was released on bail, on bond, so she's already back out for fucking terroristic threats of murdering someone and then trying to murder someone, and the judge let her post bail. Fucking wild.
Doing is not lawful. And what the governor and the mayor of, as an example, you could say of Portland, and you can say certainly of Chicago, is not lawful what they're doing. They have to be very careful. In addition, 2 weeks ago, radical left terrorists in Dallas conducted a sniper attack on a local ICE facility, killing 2 people and leaving behind a note that read, "Hopefully this will give ICE agents some real terror." That's bad. This attack came the very same month that Charlie Kirk was assassinated by a far-left extremist who inscribed the words, "Hey, fascist, catch," meaning catch the bullet, onto the bullet shelf itself. The epidemic of left-wing violence and Antifa-inspired terror has been escalating for nearly a decade. At universities, Antifa has organized riotous mobs to attack campus speakers. I see it all the time. And these are agitators, anarchists, and they're paid. And you'll find that out. You'll be finding it out very soon. You should see what we have on these people. These are bad people. These are people that want to destroy our country. We're not going to let it happen. They've used armed gangs to assault local police in cities nationwide, and they've attacked journalists reporting on their crimes. So the journalists that report on their crimes.
This is all true.
I hope that's
Arrest them. Jail. Guantanamo Bay.
But we're going to be very threatening to them, far more threatening.
Fuck, send them to Israel. We can use them as missiles.
The people that fund them. Probably some of the people I know, some of the people I dine with. But if they do, they're in deep trouble. So we're going to be looking very strongly at the people that are funding these operations. When you see the signs, and they're all made out of a beautiful.
Did y'all see Black Lives Matter is suing the George Soros Foundation for like $33 million for failure to pay funds that they were supposed to pay? I don't know if you guys know what that means, but all the Black Lives Matter riots that everyone said were fake and paid protesters were fake and paid protesters by George fucking Soros, guys. Remember, billionaires have never ever messed with election. Elon Musk is the very first person. We just have George Soros paying Black Lives Matter to burn down 10 cities in 2020. Totally different. It's totally different.
Beautiful paper, beautiful, nice, stiff, very expensive paper with beautiful wood handles, all the same.
Bro, what is it?
Color. They come from very expensive printing.
These off script.
People that write out their signs in a basement that believe in something. These are paid anarchists.
Yep.
At least 3 of these
some of them.
Journalists have personally been victims of Antifa attacks. Andy Ngo has been repeatedly...
Yeah, that's the Trump lineup here. That is Kristi Noem. That's Kash Patel. That's Pam Bondi. I want her to do more. She's letting me down pretty fucking hard, not going to lie. That's Stephen Miller, and I think that's his press secretary.
Beaten by
no idea who that lady is.
Antifa thugs for his work. And Andy is a very serious person, too, I have to tell you. I've been watching him for a long time. Is Andy here? That's what I thought. Hello,
Andy NGO. Andy NGO. He's the guy I covered previously where Antifa tried to fucking murder him multiple times in Portland back in 2020 and recently. He's the one that's been on the ground, and they put out like death warrants for him. Like, if you see this man, assault him, destroy his car, kill him at all costs. Like, they say some feral shit. They're absolutely making death threats in the public on social media to kill him. That's Antifa. They're not an organization, guys. They're just all saying, let's brutally murder a journalist who just records them. What is this crime? Recording them being violent anarchists? Oh, yeah, bro. Definitely.
You're looking better than you do out on those streets, huh? You look much better. It's nice to have you.
You got beat in the head. They fractured his skull.
Because you have them. You have to worry about that.
Yeah.
But thank you very much. Andy Ngo has been repeatedly beaten by Antifa.
And he's on the right here in a blue suit.
Left him with a brain hemorrhage. Only days ago, Nick Sortor was assaulted in Portland by a flag-burning mob, and we've made it.
Oh, Nick Sortor. That's the guy that was recently arrested. I think over here's Nick Shirley from what I saw a second ago.
1-year penalty for inciting riots. We took the freedom of speech away because that's been through the courts, and the court said you have freedom of speech. But what has happened is when they burn a flag, it agitates and irritates crowds. I've never seen anything like it on both sides, and you end up with riots. So we're going on that basis. We're looking at it from...
Oh, so they're saying incitement of violence, burn the American flag, and then a riot breaking out. They're now going to charge you with incitement for it. Okay, Okay, you're allowed to burn the flag. You better hope no one throws a brick at a building nearby, buddy, or you're going to be fucked.
Not from the freedom of speech, which I always felt strongly about, but never passed the courts. This is what they do, is they incite. When you burn an American flag, you incite tremendous violence. We have many examples of it, many examples of it, and it's actually down on tape, and you see things happen that just don't happen unless it's the flag that's burning. Very recently, Katie Davis Court was hit in the face with a flagpole in Portland by an Antifa radical.
Yep, covered that.
A very blackened eye.
Covered that.
Katie, thank you very much. And I'd like to also say that I watched Nick. Where's Nick? Is Nick here? Nick? Hi, Nick.
There's 2 Nicks.
That was a rough time you went through. I hope you got my little note. I wrote you a note.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. It helped a lot. It was a difficult situation. It was very stressful.
His mic's not on?
I thought it was terrible, actually. I thought it was terrible. So we'll talk about it a little bit.
Wait, does he not have a mic? No, he does.
The Department of Justice targeted faithful Catholics, Christians, and patriotic parents as domestic extremists. They said, oh, they're extreme because they believe in God. They're extreme because they go to a Catholic church or even...
Yeah, they targeted Christian groups and called them extremists because of their religion. Like, this was... But we can't call Antifa a terrorist organization. The FBI absolutely was weaponized like fucking crazy under Biden. And Kash Patel's releasing the receipts, and it's showing what everyone already knew. But unfortunately, apparently, unless you hand a Redditor 20 pages of evidence, they won't even consider a single damn thing. You use common sense with this. Look, the FBI is repeatedly targeting conservative groups. You can't prove that. They're only going after conservative groups. They're not going after anyone else. That's just a conspiracy. Like, motherfucker, you can't use your logic or you can't use deductive reasoning with these people because they have no brain, and that's what they compare everyone else to. If I'm stupid, so is everyone else. Like, that's the kind of logic they have.
Evangelicals, everybody was under the gun. Unless you were a really bad, sick person, then they left you alone. Under the Trump administration, we're going after Antifa criminals and all who fund and support their campaigns.
Is this still going?
In serious trouble, and we have a lot of records already, a lot of surprises, a lot of bad surprises. It's people that you would never think. I want to thank Attorney General Pam Bondi, who, by the way, yesterday was incredible in Congress. It was amazing. And
Yeah, she got grilled for like 5 or 6 hours.
And the brain, because she's very smart, in all fairness. But she did it from the heart, and she did it incredible. Everybody was talking about it. She exposed some of these fake senators, these terrible senators, people like Blumenthal that had a phony war record. For 20 years, he talked about what a hero he was, and it turned out he never went to Vietnam.
Yeah, that's fucking hilarious. She called him out on that yesterday. Rightfully so, too. Dude lied about stolen valor and never got arrested. It's illegal.
And then he went out and he cried and he was ready to drop out of the election. And disgraceful. And then he looks at people like Pam and he starts criticizing her, and she's a patriot. And they ought to do something with that. You know, we have a young congressman that's right now in jail for lying about where he went to college and other things. It was, frankly not good. It was pretty bad. But it was nothing compared to Blumenthal. I mean, what Blumenthal did, he was for 20 years a hero, a great war hero. And then he sits back and, sanctimonious kind of a guy, looks down, how dare you do this to the American public, What
Even Trump's like, you seen this shit, bro?
Who's really out there courageously, and I appreciate it, Chris. Amazing what you're doing. FBI Director Kash Patel, who's really coming up with some great information, Kash. It's great. Keep it coming because there's plenty of it.
Yes. So what's going on with Kash Patel? Apparently there was a secret wing in the FBI that required FBI Director and Secretary of State Director to access. Like, it required a dual access thing. So the issue is, in the past, Trump didn't have both people on the same side, basically. One of them was a Democrat. They never really told him about it, so they never got access to it. So Kash this time has full access and is going through and declassifying stuff that basically only the FBI director knew about. You couldn't request these documents because they were basically super sealed, like a whole new level of classification is what it seems like. So Kash is manually going through them, and that's how we're getting Operation Arctic Frost. That's when we found out Joe Biden went to Ukraine in 2016 to pressure them to drop charges on his son, Hunter Biden. That's why Joe Biden also wrote a fucking pardon for his son all the way back to 2014. Like, that information was apparently stored in that locked closet, and Kash is releasing it all out there right now. Fucking crazy.
Best lawyers you'll ever find. Todd Blanche, who I know personally is a good lawyer because I'm here. Thank you very much, Todd. Good job, Todd. Let me ask Attorney General Bondi to say a few words, and then
Got you,
we'll
Mr.
follow up with
President.
Secretary Noem and Director Patel, and we're going to have some of the people around the table, very courageous people. And they're going to
What are you doing to arrest the Antifa tards? That's what I want to know.
We'll take some questions from the press.
I want to see them thrown into the sun.
And as you made clear, Antifa is a domestic left-wing terrorist organization.
Very far
We've seen
left.
it on video for years because they wanted to be seen and they got away with it.
Yes.
They beat journalists. They attack courthouses. They attack police stations. They dox and assault our law enforcement officers.
Correct,
The Biden
correct,
administration
correct.
let them commit these crimes with total impunity for years.
So what are we doing to change that? You're the lady that puts them in jail. I heard one left jail yesterday after trying to kill ICE agents. Why is she in the streets, Pam?
To Democrat leaders like Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson. Last week, independent journalist Nick Sorter was arrested just for protecting himself against Antifa. I saw it online and I called Nick. I couldn't believe what happened. He did all this just trying to save our American flag from being burned. He was pushed down and assaulted, yet the local police arrested Nick, not the Antifa thugs who did this to him. Antifa feels empowered to operate in the open because weak Democrats have turned a blind eye to their actions. Their hatred for President Trump and for law and order agendas fuels their
Because it was Democrats weaponizing the government. That's why. They weaponized it against Republicans. Republicans didn't do that when they got power back.
January 20th. Secretary Noem is out there fighting for you firsthand to keep our federal officers safe, to keep our federal buildings safe, and we're not going to have it anymore, these thugs. We saw what's happening in Portland and Chicago, and you saw what happened in Dallas. No longer. This is not activism, it's anarchy. We can't and we will not let masked terrorists burn our buildings, attack our law enforcement, and intimidate our communities. Under your leadership...
Yeah, that's also why Democrats are now trying to force ICE to demask, because these people are putting bounties out on them to fucking kill them. That's why they want them demasked, so they can easily identify them. That's the crazy part here. Democrats, in their infinite empathy, are allowing American citizens to get brutally murdered by terrorist organizations simply because they don't like their illegal aliens getting deported. Oh, boo-hoo, your voter base is a bunch of fucking illegals. Oh, shit, sorry, buddy. Should have maybe put your party in with the party that cares about the country, not the people that just want free shit and are coming here for it.
President Trump, we're deploying the full might of the federal law enforcement to crack down on Antifa and other domestic terrorist organizations led by Stephen Miller. And Stephen, thank you for everything you're doing. Last week, I issued a memo ordering our federal...
I see a lot of tweets from these people, not a lot of action. I'm fucking angry.
ICE officers from Antifa and other radical left-wing violence. Director Patel has been going non-stop. He and Deputy Attorney General Blanche were in Chicago yesterday. While Secretary Noem was in Portland, we are around this country fighting against this domestic terrorism. We had Apple and Google take down the ICE block apps. Hope they continue to comply with that.
That was a good start.
The safety of our federal law
The
enforcement.
ICE blocks apps were literally being used to dox federal agents everywhere they went and to try to track where they lived too. They were using it to dox and harass and politically intimidate ICE agents who are United States citizens working for the government. That's the crazy part. They're not the modern day Gestapo. They're not fascists. Because fascism would honestly be them executing every illegal alien they saw. They would be executing politicians. They'd be executing civilians. And that's what I never understood. This isn't fascism, guys. It's not even fucking close. Enforcing the laws isn't fascism. You just don't like that your side lost and now illegal aliens who don't need to be in this country are getting deported. You're upset. You can call it fascism. I'm going to call you a retard in return.
Enforcement officers. We're not going to stop at just arresting the violent criminals we can see in the streets. Fighting crime is more than just getting the bad guy off the streets. It's breaking down the organization brick by brick. Just like we did with cartels, we're going to take the same approach.
There's a new cartel that just put out a fucking, basically going to kill American citizens in Mexico if they don't stop arresting their or deporting their fucking members in
Thanks to your
America.
bold leadership and the designation of Antifa as a terrorist organization, which is exactly what they are, Americans will no longer tolerate their unhinged violence.
Okay. So how are we going to no longer tolerate them?
Mr.
Just
President,
deport them all?
Thank you for hosting today and focusing on Antifa and the
Wait,
terrorists that they are.
they might be citizens.
Let's not make any mistake. These
Can't deport
individuals
those.
do not
Not
just
yet.
want to threaten our law enforcement officers, threaten our journalists, and the citizens of this country. They want to kill them. Their agenda is to destroy the American people and our way of life, and this president is standing in their way. He is stopping them from bringing their death and their destruction to the individual citizens in this country that just want to raise their kids and their grandkids in peace and in safety. I want to also
And that's why Governor Gavin Newsom is openly cheering on Twitter when the National Guard can no longer be deployed to stop the Antifa people that are trying to commit violence. That's what Gavin Newsom is cheering. The political violence being done on journalists and citizens and federal agents. That's who he's cheering when Trump can't deploy the National Guard. And that shit's crazy to me because it's an easy, like, you take 2 seconds to think about the full implications of what he said and what the judge blocked. And you're like, bro, what? You're happy that people are being assaulted by Antifa? You're happy that journalists are being assaulted? You're happy that federal agents are being assaulted? What the fuck? I'm sorry, what?
Also thank
2 seconds worth of thought.
So bold and so brave for standing up and recognizing the
That's
threat
2
that
more
is
seconds than any Antifa
to our
tards ever
life.
thought in their
By
entire
recognizing
life.
how advanced they are, how sophisticated their networks are, how they've infiltrated our entire country, and we're seeing them play out with their tactics from city to city, and how they have built out their funding mechanisms. And sir, I also want to thank our Treasury Secretary for his work in getting to the bottom of these funding mechanisms.
Oh yeah, they're fucked. They have the Treasury Department in there. They need the IRS too. Just start fucking pulling taxes on any of these Antifa tards that are arrested. And if they get money from anyone else, pull the fucking information on them. We have the FBI that wrote fucking, 8 full, wiretaps on Republican senators just because they could? Let's actually do it on the fucking terrorists. How about that? Let's track their fucking entire neural network and let's see who that money goes back to. Because if it goes back to Soros, that'd be fucking hilarious.
Individuals who are perpetuating this violence on our American cities. I was in Portland yesterday and had the chance to visit with the governor of Oregon and also the mayor. They're in town, and they are absolutely covering up the terrorism that is hitting their streets. While you talked about some of the stories of our ICE agents, our Border Patrol agents.
You can just see it by any of the independent journalists.
Have been shot at, injured, the damage that they've done. These leaders in these local cities, along with Pritzker and Johnson, ignore what's going on, or, sir, they're helping Antifa cover it up. We have arrested.
They've put policies in place to allow the Antifa to be catch and release. That's why the political violence of the left is never more than fucking 1/10 of the right, because they don't ever consider the Antifa people in those statistics because it's always catch and release. They're never fully charged. They're never put in jail. And the statistics that always cite the violence always only includes people that are charged. That's how they lie. That's how they frame it. It's very clear with anyone with a brain too, but it's not clear for people that are smoking Democrat dick that can't think for themselves.
Arrested dozens of individuals that are Antifa members or affiliated with them, and I want to thank our Attorney General for prosecuting them and making sure they never see the light of day again. They have been so bold in making sure we're bringing those individuals to justice. One of the individuals we arrested recently in Portland was the girlfriend of one of the founders of Antifa, and that we are hoping that as we go after her, and prosecute her, we will get more and more information about the network and how we can root them out and eliminate them from the existence of American society.
Eliminate them, please.
Today for telling their stories and for being
jail, guys, jail. I don't want people dead, despite my jokes. I want them in jail.
Refuse to tell the stories. The networks have not really focused on what this is and what damage it is doing to our country, and how this network of Antifa is just as sophisticated.
Actually, if they're considered terrorists, wouldn't they be charged with terrorism or treason and given the death penalty, right? Obviously, you can't do it in these leftist states, but federal government can, hopefully. Shit, if we start getting rid of terrorism, that'd be fucking amazing. That's what I voted for Trump for, to get rid of, or to make the city, to make the country a safer place. There's no easier way to make it safer than getting rid of the fucking terrorists. Amen.
as MS-13, as TDA, as ISIS, as Hezbollah, as Hamas, as all of them. They are just as dangerous. They have an agenda to destroy us, just like the other terrorists we've dealt with for many, many years. And today is the day that we have a president that won't tolerate it and will stand up and fight for the American people. So thank you for being here, for being so bold, and for standing in the gap at such a time as this. It will matter. It will make a difference, and your life will be one of significance because of what you've done today. So with that, God bless you, and thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Cash, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the American people gave you a sweeping mandate in your victory in this election cycle, and they demanded safety and security for our citizens. And your administration, with your
He got a mandate from God. He dodged a fucking assassin's bullet. Like, it's not just the American people. Fucking God himself said, you know what? I want you elected, Donnie. Let's see what you can do down there.
has provided us with the resources that we need, which is a whole of government approach to go after criminals absolutely everywhere, not just outside of this country, but within this country. And that takes a whole of government approach. The interagency seated up here with the Department of Homeland Security, our Attorney General, our Deputy Attorney General, our staffers, including Stephen Miller's leadership, has allowed us to go out there and map out these networks. What we are doing at the FBI is simple. It does not require rocket science. We are following the money. Money never lies. And that's what it's going to take to bring down this network of organized criminal thugs, gangbangers, and yes, domestic terrorists, because that's what they are. They are harming everyday citizens in every single one of our communities. And the folks you see here on the right and left, they're some of the bravest men and women we have today. They're reporting the stories live time because the mainstream media won't cover it. They're
That's
putting
right.
their lives on the line. They're standing up for the flag.
That's why I've also been doing this too, because there's a lot of information, and I don't think people know that the news is blatantly lying. I truly don't. We're at a point to where it seems blatantly obvious to me, but I still have people in my videos that are just spreading straight propaganda. Like with the Chicago ICE raids, I had some dude that argued that I was uneducated because I didn't see some piece of propaganda fake news that he did. And it was fucking hilarious because I broke it down multiple times. And in the end, he's still like, you need to diversify your news sources. I was like, motherfucker, they said that they put children in handcuffs that were half naked in vans. I couldn't find a single fucking clip of any of that shit on any major news network. Now, tell me, in all of your infinite wisdom, how the leftist news in America that lies about everything wouldn't show a clip of kids in handcuffs and news and shoved in U-Hauls half naked. Like, why wouldn't they show that? And the obvious answer is because it didn't fucking happen. But the guy was so ignorant, I could not convince him that. He was so brainwashed that he refused to acknowledge what he saw was fake. Because they don't actually want a conversation. And that's what I always boil back to. These leftists that do most of the arguing, they're not trying to have a conversation. They're trying to lecture you because they're useful idiots that have never fact-checked anything in their fucking life, and they're mad because my video might actually have more likes than they think it should. Like, I genuinely couldn't tell you what I did to make that guy mad, but he was a flagrant retard. I was calling him out for it too. I call people retards. If you're a retard, you're a retard. I don't take it personally if I get called a retard. I know I can be stupid occasionally, but shit, man, if you're just gonna come out here and straight fucking lie, at least like try to back it up. At least try to prove your point.
We can do is stand up for them. So you have my thanks. I read more of your stories than I do theirs because you guys are putting out the truth. And we deserve a country where you are protected as equally as they are. We, in this FBI, will go after with the criminals with a vengeance. We will not rest until we find every single seed, money, donor, organization, and funding mechanism that we have. And I want to echo the Secretary's comments on
I gotta honestly think that Antifa are scared right now because this is more power that's ever been used against them than ever before. Trump in the past didn't have everyone united like he does now with a goal forward to stomp out terrorism. Once he got into office, he had a bunch of dog shit picks for heads of all these departments, and they basically just stabbed him in the back immediately. Like fucking Mike Pence, worst VP possible. Mike Shockham Pence.
I'd like to remind the American public, they built this disease temple of corruption over decades. And in 8 short months, Mr. President, you have crippled their foundation because of your leadership here, because of the interagency, because of people like Deputy Attorney General Blanche, and because of Attorney General Pam Bondi's fearless leadership to go after criminals wherever they are. They will not be able to hide. They were able to hide and conspire with prior administrations, and we are exposing their corruption from within. And we will go to every single city in this country under Operation Summer Heat and the other operations we are doing at the FBI to bring these criminals to justice. We will arrest every single one of them from whatever perch you sit in.
So start putting the arrest numbers online, Cash.
It will be
I'm hearing a lot of talk from people that do a lot of talking.
We're going to give you.
Thank you very much, Cash. Great job. Maybe we'll start over here. Would any of you like to say something? Feel free. You can say it in front of a fine group of people, also journalists and reporters. You want to start?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. President Trump, members of the cabinet, really appreciate you guys bringing this together. And the fact that we are here today on such short notice shows how serious you guys are taking this issue of trans terrorists and frankly, the cities and police departments that are cooperating with Antifa, such as Portland. I mean, the Portland politicians are literally willing to sacrifice their own citizens just to appease these Antifa terrorists.
Yep.
It's sickening. I've seen it firsthand, obviously. When I went to jail that night, never expected it to happen. I thought that they were maybe removing me for my own safety. It never crossed my mind that I was the one that was being arrested for a crime after I was just thrown into a hole. I heard from the Department of Homeland Security after I got out of jail, and one of your, I won't say exactly who it was, but somebody very close to Secretary Noem over here, said that they were legitimately worried for my safety in the Portland jail. But luckily, the Portland jail was, I was the only one there, essentially, because they don't actually arrest people in Portland.
We're worried that you might be in danger, but we're also didn't think of the fact that it's a leftist shithole and they're not actually going to arrest anyone else, so you'll be fine. But yeah, that was what people were saying on Twitter. Like, they're going to kill him in jail. He's going to die in jail. They are going to kill him in jail and say he killed himself. That there was a lot of people saying that. I was like, there's no fucking way. I saw he got arrested. I didn't report on that because I considered it more schizo, but the fact that he's saying it too makes me think, oh shit, they were actually worried.
Conservative journalist, I guess. So, look, I'm glad that it was not a good night for me. Let's just say that. It was not fun sitting in that jail, but
not
I'm
cash
glad to see
money.
what has come of it. And I've been able to talk to a bunch of FBI agents, ATF agents, DHS agents that I didn't even know existed until I went there and went to that ICE facility. And the morale is at an all-time high. It is so exciting to see these guys know now that they have the backing of...
Because they're about to get to arrest a bunch of retards. That shit's probably the funnest part of their job is macing idiots and putting them in handcuffs. Like, what are we on about? Yeah, of course they're happy.
Right along with Secretary Noem yesterday.
The government's helping them.
And there was a pedophile that had come into the country 5 times over the past 7 years. 7 years. And apparently under the Biden regime, that was just allowed to happen. That was fine. No problem.
Yep.
It's concerning to me that you're seeing...
You have multiple cases where there's shit like this happening, where there's like pedophiles or like murderers that are just allowed back in the country and they never actually got deported because Biden basically told ICE to stand down. They were tracking them. They knew they were in the country, but they literally couldn't deport them because the Department of Justice wasn't doing anything to charge the people. They had no power. They were like basically handcuffed to their own desks. So that's what happened when Trump took office. ICE had been recording and tracking all these fucking people for quite some time. So the moment Trump gave them the full authority to continue doing their job, they went out swinging. That's why the first part of the election or after Trump took office, there was a lot of deportations ramping up rapidly because they already knew where these crazy child rapists were, where these murderers were. They knew exactly where they were.
The Portland Police Department, as well as the governor of Oregon and the mayor, of course, coming out and running defense for pedophiles that have entered the country illegally.
Well, yeah, it's their voter base.
Crazy. I'm glad it's taking a
Those are their voters. Of course they're playing defense.
And, they're being forced to talk about it in reality because, we're the ones that were on the ground. We're the ones that are actually reporting what's going on. And much of the legacy media has been either ignoring it or covering for Antifa for years now. So thank you guys so much for taking this seriously. And President Trump, you mentioned that flag. So remember, you put out a truth right after
That's right. I saw that.
took this flag from that man that was burning it in the street.
Oh, the burned flag.
Oh yeah, I know exactly who it is.
So why don't you give it to Pam? Give it to the Attorney General and let's...
Gifted to the mayor.
I actually have a second flag that he tried to burn as well. So I have 2 of them. From
Well,
the
you
same
also
guy.
saw what happened when that flag started burning. Everyone went crazy. And that's when it started, when they started burning the flag. So
Yeah, and that's originally what people were saying that the Portland police were citing for arresting him for, was putting out the burning flag, incited the crowd to lose their shit. So they were trying to charge him with incitement of violence or obstruction or disturbance of the peace, some shit like that. They were blaming the entire incident of the crazy Antifa-tards trying to burn down or trying to assault people and assault the federal agents on him, solely on him. That is the most cooked logic humanly possible, and that's the Democrat logic.
And at least that horrible night made you famous.
He was already
I got a text from the President of the United States, so I appreciate that.
And President Trump, after that happened to Nick, I called Harmon.
This is Donald Trump.
Pattern and practice investigation.
I got the FBI. Cash Patel, give me your number. What's up, bro?
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President, Brandy Cruz, you're going to hear us be very fired up today, and you can tell, and it's because some of us have been covering Antifa for 15 years and have never had anyone in a position of authority even acknowledge their existence. And I'll also tell you that I think that had you not done the single most powerful thing you've done to deal with this group,
Move your head.
that Antifa is a real thing. I genuinely believe there would be people at these tables who would be dead today and would have been killed in Portland had you not called them a terror organization and said we're going to bring the full weight of the federal government to bear. I talked to Katie Davisport in...
They need to pardon. There's one guy that's in jail for like 30 years for brandishing a gun against Antifa that threatened to kill him. And he's in jail for like life, basically, in Portland. He needs a pardon immediately. I hope Andy brings him up.
Face of an ICE agent, and then he's in custody shaking. Once you take the mask off, they're nothing.
Yeah, they're fucking cowards.
Probably a dozen.
They're retards hyped up, or they're either hyped up on drugs or drunk off their fucking ass that are being convinced by the mob that they're fighting fascism, and they truly fucking believe the propaganda too. So the second the mask comes off and they're actually put in handcuffs, reality hits them and they realize, oh, I fucked up. Oh, yeah, I'm going to jail. Oh, this isn't the police that arrested me. This is federal agents. I'm going to be charged with 20 years. Oh.
1,000 people not to tell you this. I'm going to tell it to you anyway, because it's relevant to what we're talking about. I'm living proof that you can recover from TDS. I had strong Trump derangement syndrome for probably 8 years.
Because the media worked overtime just lying after lie after lie. You had even the very fine people hoax where the news directly left out half a quote of Donald Trump when he said very fine people at that one. They tried to take a statue down. I forget where it happened, but they tried to take a statue down and the Klan showed up and Trump said there's very fine people on both sides here protesting for it to be removed and for it to stay up. And then he specified, and I'm not talking about the white supremacists and the neo-Nazis, they should be condemned. The media ran with the first half of that clip and didn't include the second half. Why? Because they are liars. And that is how Trump derangement syndrome was spread. There were straight lies and propaganda. But the issue is, a lot of the people that suffer from TDS, they're not going to be able to break out of it. You can show them as many facts as you want, but they'll always point to some obscure thing that you may not even know what they're talking about. That's the sad part. There are some people you can save, though. I guess this lady was one of them.
This is one of the reasons I recovered from it. And by the way, it's much better to not have TDS. I'm happier, I'm healthier, more successful. I even think I got a little more attractive after I got rid of my Trump. Yeah.
I'm hotter now that I'm Republican.
Seattle, and frankly, I could not care any less what any of you have to say about this meeting. Could not care any less. We're not here for you. I'm not here to convince any of you that.
Wait, is that the news?
Because if you have not come to that conclusion by now, you are never going to come to that conclusion.
Is that the news? Are they fucking roasting the news?
Right-wing conservative influencers who are here spinning a tale. I was one of you. I was a mainstream reporter in Seattle for 10 years. I was a TV reporter.
That's crazy.
Doing my job, and I was still assaulted by Antifa. So it's not about being conservative. It's about people who go there and show what they're doing. And when I saw...
That's exactly right. They attack journalists. It doesn't matter what side they're on. They're attacking the journalists because they're recording them being violent, anarchist retards. That's why they attack you. If you have a camera, you're a target. They don't care if you have CNN plastered all over you. If you have Antifa plastered all over you, they'll still attack you because they know a real Antifa tard isn't going to have a camera.
After all those years, that the media wouldn't be honest about what was happening, that Democratic politicians wouldn't be honest about what was happening, I thought, well, gosh, if they're not being honest about that, maybe they're not being honest about President Trump either. And it opened my mind to just looking at things for what they were. And now I find you quite funny, actually. No, it's like I said, I'm much happier about it. But, for me, again, I could not care any less the stories that they go to print. This is what I care about. We have 3.5 years. Nothing is guaranteed, although I think if Democrats keep it up, we'll probably have Republican presidents for the next 3 decades. But nothing is guaranteed, and so what I want to see over the next 3.5 years is...
That's not true. So if the Democrats do fully push off identity politics, and they stop being retards with allowing every illegal immigrant that wants to cross the border to magically become a citizen automatically and let them vote, there's a good chance they'll be more of a viable party to vote for. Right now, the Republicans seem like the only ones by a long shot, because if you're an American citizen and you came here legally, I don't know why the fuck you'd want to vote for Democrats who just want to allow basically our entire border to be open to any fucking retard in the world. We've already seen that it wasn't a policy issue, that it was a leadership issue. That was a complete lie under Joe Biden. They tried to use it to vote for Kamala to fix the border. They tried to use it to pass a bill to fix the border. Trump took office and no new bills were passed. He just actually used the powers already given to him as president to fix the border. It was a complete lie. And this is what Democrats have been doing because they had such a tight hold and control on the media. But that changed when Elon Musk bought Twitter at the beginning of 2021. Or 2020, 2021. It changed when Elon took over Twitter and removed the leftist shackles and the artificial censorship. And now they allow actual news stories to be put on the platform in an unbiased manner. And if you totally lie on your stories, you get community fucking noted too. Good for you.
To dismantle Antifa once and for all in a meaningful way. I know, Andy, we talked before this about some ideas. That's really what we want to... I don't care what the media says. I don't care what Democrats say. They will never wake up to this fact. So we want the federal government to take as many of these cases as possible. Look at the interstate travel between Portland and Seattle when it comes to these people who are committing violent acts.
Yes, they're probably busing their people back and forth. That's entirely plausible. Because they are an organization, despite what people say.
Many others.
There's multiple Antifa organizations.
There are a couple that we're going to, but I think we've got it pretty well covered. But there are many others, but very specifically today is Antifa, and it's really bad, and we're going to get it cleaned up. Andy, do you have something? Thank you very much. I'm glad you no longer have TDS. I feel very good about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the cabinet. I have a lot of gratitude and a little bit about my background. I'm born in Portland, Oregon, from there. And growing up, it's always been left-wing, very progressive, and I liked it. It had cafes and artists and those who lived a bohemian lifestyle. And in 2016, I was a graduate student at Portland State studying political science. I was an editor at the student paper there, a very progressive paper, and I was assigned to cover the election night demonstrations. Well, the elections night protests turned to riots, 3 days of violent rioting in Portland, and it was the first time that I saw groups dressed in black with their faces covered. This was 4 years before COVID. Some of them were waving the black flag of anarchism, some the red flag of Marxism. And within seconds, they would ravage one street to another.
Well, that's the thing, is it's anarchism, Marxism, socialism, Antifa. They all overlap heavily with leftists trying to take political power via violence and political intimidation. They are all basically the same. It's just a different flag, or they might have a little bit difference on somehow the state's going to give everyone everything without violence versus the state's taking everything and giving it to other people with violence. Like, it's stupid. But they all are basically the same symbol. They mean it's interchangeable, but it's the same political violence retards. That's what you need to know.
To another. And the next day, I would read the legacy media, which I still read at that time and looked forward to, and I looked up to those journalists. And I was really shocked to see that the narrative was that these, in my view, anti-democratic political violence was legitimate acts of protest because people were concerned about racism or all these.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Democrats give a blanket pass to the political violence because it's their side that lost the election in 2016. They gave a blanket pass to all the political violence because it's going to help them in the future if you kill a Republican now. That's what it actually boils down to. And that's crazy to say, but that's why they don't condemn this shit. That's why they basically act like it never happened. They completely move the cameras away from the burning building so you don't know the building's burning. You can see the smoke. You can smell it. There's a guy that's running away on fire, but they don't ever show you the burning building because the burning building is proof that they're not giving you key facts of cases, that they're lying, that they're deceiving you. And that's what the media does.
These other lies. And so for the next 4 years, I just continued going out with my video camera. I thought, look, people can ignore what I write because of spin, but videos can quite speak for themselves.
That's right. And the video evidence shows the actual reality. That means it makes it very hard for a narrative to be spun when you can see video evidence that directly and purposefully shows the opposite, actually. Video evidence and freedom of information will always destroy propaganda. When you have multiple data from multiple news streams, you can destroy propaganda really fucking easy because you can lay out facts of the case or point out exactly where they lied. If they're the only ones there recording, it's their story, and you can't do anything to disprove it because here's the only video evidence they provided.
2019, it led to me nearly losing my life. I was covering another Antifa protest turned riot. At that point, had been routine in Portland, and then I was ambushed in a mob beating. And I had never been in a fight. I didn't even realize that I was being assaulted until seconds in. And the punches came from everywhere on my head and my face, and I was bleeding out of my eyes and ears. And then they threw all the drinks in my eyes to humiliate me further and to laugh at me.
They tried to kill him.
In an ambulance and CT scan, and I had subarachnoid hemorrhage, which is bleeding the brain. I nearly died.
I thought they fractured his skull, so they gave him a brain hemorrhage instead. They tried to kill him. His sin, filming them in public. Guys, they believe in freedom of speech, though. They believe in the Constitution. They also believe insulting journalists that film them. These are why you can't have conversations with these leftists, because they have no real values, but they'll just take whatever values they think you have and try to throw them in your face. That's it.
And after surviving that, the reporting that I saw in liberal media it seemed to suggest that I had deserved it because they...
Yeah, he incited the violence. Yeah, that's exactly right. They basically blamed him for being there in the first place. Oh, you shouldn't have been a target. That's the same thing the Portland police officer did with Nick Serrato, basically blamed the journalists for inciting the violence by being counter-protesters. You're standing there and filming. That's not counter-protesting. They held no signs. They simply stood there and filmed, and the police labeled them as counter-protesters. Are you fucking retarded? Oh, you're a Democrat. Makes sense.
Randomly far right, and some even went so far as to suggest that I may be faked my injuries. A BuzzFeed reporter asked for my medical records, which I did provide, but this felt so... it's like because I didn't die in that attack, there was another round of people who wanted to...
Yeah, it must have not been that bad since you lived. Yeah. Oh, here's your medical records. It's always moving the goalpost or shifting the frames. It's mainly moving the goalpost. That didn't happen. Oh, it happened, but it's not that bad. It's shit like that. They don't want to have a conversation. They just want to lie to other retards that are willing to listen and are not actually going to fact check them or see them later down the line. They want to put a quick corp out, and then even if you reply, they'll completely ignore it. Even if you completely disprove them, they'll completely ignore it because no one actually goes to fact check the story. It's the first impression that's made is what everyone runs with for the most part. Very rarely will people go out of their way to verify if what they see is true. I try to go back and verify if what I see is true. 100% I do because I want to know if I'm being lied to. I'm a very straightforward person. I don't like being lied to at all. I don't like being deceived on any front. That's why I like Twitter, because I can see other shit out there, and if a news story does change, it gets community noted, and then Twitter actually sends you a notification saying, hey, something you previously commented on got community noted. The facts might have changed. You want to take a look over it and see? Like, Twitter informs you this shit's changing. You don't get that on Facebook. You don't get that on YouTube. You don't get that on any other social media platform. No news article admits that they've made a retraction. They make it a little small print. This story was updated on blah, blah, blah to talk about circumstances the facts change. Like, I just made a video about Hassan Piker shocking his dog or using a vibration collar on his dog. When it happened, Hassan said the dog merely hit its foot on the fucking table and that's why it yelped at itself. Video footage shows Hassan reaching for something and then very clearly he grabs something and then the dog yelps. Today, he put a video out saying, oh, it's a vibration collar and yeah, I use it sometimes to help recommand them or reaffirm their commands. And ignored the fact that it's remote activated, which he clearly pressed yesterday and caused the injury, and then lied about why the dog yelped. Because he doesn't actually care about the truth. He's a liar. And that's most of these far leftists. That's most leftists. That's most of these people. I do made a bad distinction between Democrats, leftists, far leftist extremists. I kind of blanket them up. If I say leftists, I mean some of the Democrats to the really far extreme left. If I say Antifa, they're not the Democrats, surprisingly. It's mainly like very far left people. And that's why I misspeak in that category. But Hassan is one of those that's really far left. And he's a self-admitted propagandist and calls himself a champagne socialist. He'll say and do anything to lie because he knows his viewers are like a cult. They'll listen to it hook, line, and sinker. But I'm still going to post stories, I'm still going to post tweets, and I'm still going to reply to people that are being retarded. Why? Because I truly feel like if you're a fucking NPC that you'll never break out. But if you are a human being with a soul behind your eyes, and I have a conversation with you on Twitter, just maybe you'll finally be like, hey, here's another person who sees, or here's another person with a different perspective than mine that was able to provide more information. And there's someone else who said the same thing, and there's someone else who did the same thing. Maybe I'm kind of wrong about this. Even if they don't admit it to me, I feel like I did something that might help them in the future. That's why I do it.
Continued, and then 2020, Portland was really the epicenter of the longest political violence. Those months of riots, I was on the ground, undercover, and there was an assassination there. There was a supporter of Donald Trump named Aaron Danielson who was shot dead by a self-described Antifa member who then fled out of state and died in a shootout with U.S. Marshals.
Yep.
In 2021, I returned undercover.
Antifa killed someone and they fled and they died in a police shootout. A very peaceful, mostly peaceful protest.
Naively thinking that enough time had passed, and was chased through the streets of downtown and beaten, nearly choked out. The person who was trying to choke me out held me so tightly that I had the blood, the vessels in my eyes burst. So
yeah, this was another incident, a second incident where he showed up and they tried to kill him a second time because they failed the first time.
One of the symptoms where my eyes were completely red after that, and I was hospitalized. So thank you so much for acknowledging Antifa and for directing your administration to treat them as domestic terrorists. It's going to be really challenging because how they organize is that they are decentralized, autonomous, and they operate on deception. And we're still to this day told that they don't exist, that it's a figment of our imagination. I think the DOJ could look at federal conspiracy charges. The state of California and San Diego County last year broke up an Antifa cell in San Diego. And I think maybe perhaps the State Department should designate Antifa, its international arm, as a foreign terrorist organization, FTO. So thank you so much for this invitation, Mr. President.
They operate based on the communist playbook or guerrilla tactics. They are an organization. They are heavily decentralized, and they try to do their own thing to where they're never caught communicating. They use very obscure methods to do so. And the reason why is because they're terrorists. They might not, and not every Antifa they're arresting is a part of it, but more than likely, whoever's in charge of that group, there is one individual that they could find who they could track back to everyone else. The issue is finding the right person. And I don't ever think we will. I think it's not anyone that's on the ground. I think it's someone who's telling people to go to the ground instead. We're like fighting actual communist guerrillas, basically. This shit's crazy. That's why I call them all terrorists, put them all in handcuffs, and we might start finding some commonalities between who they're meeting up with, and that would be our best way to figure out who the fuck's actually doing this shit.
Thank you very much, Andy. Great. That's a rough time you had.
Government's got to do it, though.
That was almost the end, you felt?
Yeah, that was my only near-death experience in my life, and I'm quite shaken when I think about it now. It really feels unbelievable to me that on the streets of America that this type of violence against citizens could become so routine and accepted and cheered on by people. Although, in the immediate aftermath of Mr. Kirk's assassination, we saw again that type of depravity play out on quite large swaths of the left. So there's a deep sickness that's in this country right now, and it pains me a lot to acknowledge it.
Yeah, the amazing thing is you look at Portland, and you see fires all over the place. You see fights and, just violence. It's just so crazy. And then you talk to the governor, and she acts like everything is totally normal. There's nothing wrong.
Holy shit, this is long.
Are you waking up from a dream or something? You see it on your network. You see it all over the place. And it's so bad. It's so crazy. It's like the movies you see for the kids. I guess not only the kids, adults also, where you have these bombed out cities and these bombed out people. It's like worse than that. I don't think they could make a movie.
Yeah, well, the issue is they don't actually show that to the main news. They don't show that to anyone.
It's such a wonderful place.
It's like the leftists saying there's no riots going on here and taking pictures of the countryside because they live in Portland. When it's very clear, here's video footage of Nick getting assaulted outside the ICE facility. I was replying to people on that on Twitter, and I was using Nick Shirley's footage of the guy basically threatening to kill him with a DHS sniper on the roof. I was replying to every leftist retard account on Portland saying, look at how beautiful our city is. We don't need National Guards. I was like, hey, you're being obtuse here. Here's a video of last night of Nick Shirley almost getting brutally murdered by an Antifa guy, and a DHS sniper has to flag him. Like, you can lie all you want. Here's video footage proving you wrong.
And the amazing thing is the people want us to be there. The people, when they get the real people that live there, many of them have left, but the real people want us to be. The same thing in Chicago. So they've had 60, 70 murders over.
I have more hope in Chicago than I do Portland. I feel like Portland's fucking lost.
Shot. And then a guy like Pritzker, or this low IQ mayor, gets up. I mean, he got up. He's got a 5% approval rating. And
yeah.
The people are all against
6,
it. They want
but
people to come. Beautiful black women are wearing a MAGA hat last night on television. Beautiful people. And they said, we don't care who comes, just stop the crime. They don't care, frankly, they don't care if it's National Guard, military, send in anybody you want, stop the crime. and they're afraid to go out. They can't even go out. And then a guy like Pritzker, think of that, 50, 60, 70 people over a short period of time murdered, actually murdered, mostly gun violence, but knives, but gun violence, they're murdered, and hundreds of people shot. They had one weekend where they had like 18 murdered and 71 shot.
That's just an average
So,
weekend in Chicago,
it
dog.
was a long weekend. In other words, it was a long
That's an
weekend.
average weekend in O
And then
Block.
Pritzker gets up and he says, like, I don't know what they're talking about. We don't have crime here. They're crazy. I think actually they're petrified.
Well, it's not that they're crazy. They're just liars because they know they're not going to get fact-checked by any news that matters. They know that the people see them, they'll take their quips and put them online and ignore the actual questions being asked to them. There's a video of the mayor being asked about an illegal alien that, like, raped a woman and then brutally bashed her skull in, and he's just like, I'm not answering that. And he's like, what would you do if that was your wife? Man to man, not man to mayor, man to man. And he's like, I'm not going to answer that. And the news didn't cover it. A lot of the people on Twitter did said, look, here's him ignoring some dude asking him about a very serious case. Very excellent job as a mayor, and that's why he has a 6% approval rating.
You know, their families live there, everything else. I actually think they're scared. Pritzker was a failure in his family. They threw him out of the family business. Guys are
He's more...
You know what? They actually...
I can see Trump being petty about this because he's a businessman, so he's making fun of him for being a failed businessman. That's why he keeps bringing this up, but it cracks me up every time. Yeah, he's a failed business. He's a failure.
I believe they're scared. They're actually frightened for their lives. Jack, please say a few words.
Mr. President, thank you so much for having us here today and holding this roundtable. Antifa is real. Antifa has been around in various iterations for almost 100 years in some instances, going back to the Weimar Republic in Germany. And it's now been just...
Yes, actual Gestapo tactics. I know people... Antifa was used during World War II to fight the fascist Nazis, but there were also people in the Nazi Germany organization that used the same tactics for political intimidation to maintain their power. Just Gestapo tactics is what they also called them.
Just under 1 month since we saw a far leftist murder Charlie Kirk, and we saw thousands upon thousands of people, other far leftists and people in positions of authority, people like nurses and pilots and doctors and HR departments celebrating the death and the murder of Charlie
American citizens in positions that they shouldn't be in.
Mentioning the fact that one of the bullet casings read, "Hey fascist, catch on it." One of the other bullet casings right next to that had Bella Ciao written on it. Now Bella Ciao is a song that is known in Antifa circles as the international anthem of Antifa, and all of us around this room.
And Hassan Piker magically sings it
these symbols.
3 days after the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
When you look at people like Luigi Maggioni,
Crazy.
in his 20s, Thomas Matthew Crooks, of course, who took a shot at you, sir, the ICE shooter in Dallas, and now this Tyler Robinson, we're starting to see a pattern.
She steals a black guy. That's a journalist hit in the face, by the way. That's not makeup. That's her black guy from being hit in the face.
Not just random. It is targeted.
Assaulted a woman.
assassinations.
Coward bitches.
Every single one of us in this room that goes out there, and obviously you as well, sir, and all the staff, we are now under that threat every single day. And working there at Turning Point USA, and I've spent just about the last month out there in Phoenix with Erica, with the family, with the team, and I will tell you this, Mr. President, even though going through something like that, which is an absolute nightmare, and people say, what was it like to speak in front of all those people? It's horrible. Every second of it was horrible. But we're not going to quit. And Turning Point USA is continuing the tour that Charlie was on. We had 6,000 people when we went back to Utah. We had 5,000 people last night in Montana, if you can believe that. We are continuing to organize on campus. We are getting more and more people coming out in the face of this threat, knowing what happened to Charlie. But Mr. President, we need to do something about this because I fear that the next one who could be killed could be sitting at this table right now. And we're not going to stop, but they need to stop, and they will not stop until they are stopped.
They won't stop unless they're forced to stop. Yeah, evil will always only succeed when good men do
What could
nothing.
be worse than Portland? You don't even have stores anymore. They don't even put glass up. They put plywood on their windows. But most of the retailers have left. But Washington, D.C. was so bad. And Pam, I'd say it took 12 days to really make it pretty good and a month to make it great. And now people are going out to dinner. The restaurants are booming. They don't have enough seats. They're opening up new restaurants because many of them closed. And people are walking down the street totally safe. A reporter, I'm not sure if she's there. I can't see somebody reported that she is. She was violently assaulted. And I don't know, she tends to be somewhat liberal, but she wasn't liberal on this one. I appreciated your honesty, but that won't happen again. It won't happen again. You're lucky you're alive, frankly, with what happened. I know exactly what took place. So Washington, D.C., our capital, we thought we'd start there appropriately, and it's safe, and people are so happy. They're so happy. And now it's a couple of months. I went to dinner there. I felt totally safe. I gave a press conference right in the middle of the street, which I don't think Secret Service was thrilled about. But, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have wanted to do it.
I'm sure they didn't like that.
It's incredible what happened. Now we're in Memphis. As you know, we're having a great impact in Memphis. It's been only a week, but it's, Cash, I hear it's been amazing what's happening there just very early. But you take a look at D.C. and you take a look at some of the other. We've had a big impact there. What we haven't said, because Pritzker said, well, crime is going down in Chicago. Well, 5 months ago, Cash went to Chicago with a lot of FBI agents just to prepare it so that we went in with, I guess you could call it a surge, call it whatever you want, but would be even more effective. And we're going to be doing that and very, very strongly doing that because Chicago is a very unsafe city. It's a great city. The head of the Union Pacific Railroad said, sir, please save Chicago. It's a great city. It can be saved. Other cities are gone. I mean, they're lost. They can get better, but they've been so decimated. But I'm so proud of what they've done so quickly in D.C. And it's taking place quickly in Memphis, where we were asked to go by the mayor and by the governor. And it's really incredible what we can
Someone
do,
was
how
complaining
fast
about
we
Trump
can do it.
showing up in Memphis. I remember that. I don't know who,
Would you like to go,
though.
and then Katie, you'll go. Okay, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President, for having us here. And not to sound like a broken record, but it needs to be said that Antifa is real. It's real. It's a threat. I just saw them last weekend over in Portland while they were causing mayhem over there. And the reason why there's such a big problem is because we have Democrats and a lot of people in the mainstream media refusing to acknowledge that they even exist, right? So how can we as a country begin to address it if we have large swaths of these people who are supposedly decision makers and people who are supposed to inform? They don't want to say that it exists.
Because it's a harsh reality that they're wrong, and they won't admit they're wrong.
There's no national leadership. They don't have national headquarters. So how can law enforcement go after a group that doesn't exist like that? Well, law enforcement goes after criminal groups that organize to rob banks or do smash and grabs. They don't have a registered LLC. They don't have official membership cards. They don't have a business address. But law enforcement still goes after them because they're working as a group. These people don't just show up randomly at the same time to do the same thing, dressed in a very similar fashion, espousing the same ideology. And they say, well, it's an ideology. It's like, well, yes, it's an ideology because there's people alive, present, that believe in it, and they're acting on it. And so I've been very well aware of what Antifa's been doing. I was very busy during the riots in 2020. That was probably my most exposure to them prior to this year. I've been at the ICE facility at Broadview. I'm originally from the Chicagoland area, unfortunately, but that's where I grew up.
Unfortunately, I'm from Chicago.
The riots in Los Angeles as well, and probably one of the most.
All right, brother, I forgive you.
That is, in addition to Antifa being present, they were tagging the streets with CJNG, which is Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, which is a cartel. So you have these people who are working basically in concert with other terrorist groups to say that we're here, we're present, and we're gonna attack.
Yeah, I think Cash Patel made an announcement. There's over 110,000 different gang members or gang affiliated people in Chicago from their intel. 110,000. It's a hot spot to deport these fuckers. That's why this shit's happening so badly in Chicago.
Federal agents and people who are going to expose what we do. And so, to be clear, political violence, sustained political violence that we're seeing in this country is not a both sides issue. I was at Charlie Kirk Memorial in Glendale recently. Conservative gathering, totally peaceful. It was the most peaceful gathering that I've been at. Every other time that I've been covering violence in the streets, just this year, just this year, it's always been from left-wing people, radical left-wing people. And it's not even just Antifa anymore. The shooting that happened the defensive shooting that happened in the Chicago area, that wasn't someone dressed in black bloc. That was just somebody that had taken upon themselves to go out and try to interfere and ram federal vehicles. So people are becoming more and more radicalized, and it was to be expected, unfortunately. And the reason why we're in this position today is because after I was done covering the riots, I was at the border, from the San Diego sector all the way down to the Rio Grande Valley sector, covering the border crisis month after month. And we all knew the solution to that. We all knew why it was happening. It's because, well, it's racist to have a border. It's like, well, actually, it's not, but okay. And so it required you to come back into office and to fix the problem, but it's no longer just a border issue. It's a nationwide issue, and that's one of the reasons why.
He's exactly right. It went from the border is infixable, we need to eliminate, or we need to elect Democrats when you pass new legislation. And then you look at the legislation, it's like, allow us to legalize 2,000 random immigrants a day that walk across the border. 2,000 illegal immigrants. Sorry, not random immigrants. Illegal immigrants. That's the kind of legislation they want to pass, which is fucking crazy. What? Bypassing all immigration just because you walked across our border? You're now a citizen. Like, that's fucking stupid. That's why the bill got turned down 2 years ago, and they blamed Trump. And the funny part is, he wasn't even in office. He was just telling them, don't vote yes for this stupid fucking bill. And he was entirely right. Democrats lied through their teeth then, and the news just never brought it up again.
You got elected back into office because, thankfully, the American people said we're not going to deal with it anymore. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people, as we've seen, who are willing to take to the streets to do violence. And that's a scary thing, because typically when I was in 2020, I was covering Minneapolis, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle. I was over in Chaz, and that was to be expected. But now, because the issue of immigration, illegal immigration, is so widespread, riots can happen anywhere. Attacks can happen anywhere. So that's why it was weird kind of going back to my home state to cover this violence. I mean, just after the Dallas shooting, they were chanting outside Broadview, shoot ICE. Shoot those efforts, shoot those efforts.
Shoot ICE, kill ICE, yeah.
So I'll just leave that. Thank you so much again for having this. This is very dangerous. We don't work for companies that have billions of dollars. We're running and gunning often on our own.
Yeah, these are on-the-ground journalists that survive totally on donations and YouTube ad revenue.
We became friends. A lot of us are friends because we wouldn't see each other all the time, and we became friends because we wanted to have someone watch our back while we're out there. Because, like I said, we're just out there, and but we'll continue to do it because it's an important topic. It's an important issue. The American people deserve to know.
They'll go where the story goes because they're actual journalists.
Okay, great job. Thank you very much. Katie, please.
Hi, Mr. President. It is an honor being here today, and I first wanted to start by thanking you guys for designating Antifa a terrorist group. It's exactly what this group is. It's a long time coming. I'm an investigative journalist from Seattle. I work for the Post Millennial alongside Andy No and Jack Posobiec. I have been infiltrating Antifa cells in Seattle and Portland for the past decade. I know their inner workings, and Antifa uses extreme political violence to crush the civil rights of their political enemies and believes that violence is justified by any means necessary. But today, I want to focus on what is happening in Portland at the ICE facility. I've been covering this for the past 4 months, and this is a call out to corporate media who has completely ignored this story or has falsely reported on it. This is nothing short other than a sustained attack on the United States, which is being supported by Democratic elected officials. The Portland Police Bureau has completely
because it's their voters doing it.
outside the ICE facility, giving away their
Yeah.
jurisdiction to a terrorist group who has spent the past 4 months harassing, assaulting, and intimidating anyone they perceive to be against their cause. Not only have federal agents been...
They literally, everyone's against their cause. They'll ask you, do you stand for fascism? You ask them, what's fascism? They'll just immediately hit you in the head with a brick because you didn't answer, yeah, brother, fighting fascism. Like, they're fucking stupid.
Agents been relentlessly assaulted for more than 100 consecutive days. Black-clad anarchist militants concealing their identities behind black facial coverings have been assaulting reporters just for trying to cover their crimes. Today, I'm sitting here with a black eye and a concussion after being violently hit in the face with a metal pole while reporting outside the ICE facility just this past week. After the attack, I immediately went to three Portland police officers who refused to detain the suspect. I took the time to chase down the suspect in the streets, had her held for 35 minutes. I was waiting for Portland police to come, and they never came. Then that's what opened my eyes to what this group is actually doing. I watched 20 Antifa militants help my assault suspect escape into an Antifa safe house that is 1 block away from the ICE facility. And this safe house is where Antifa-affiliated protesters are conducting paramilitary operations. It's where they're arresting, they're showering, they're eating to continue this occupation. I have staked out this safe house and have observed shift changes. This group is highly organized. It is being funded through mutual aid groups, and they have no plans of stopping. Residents
Why would they stop? The Portland police are on their side.
Hostage by Antifa. They're begging for federal intervention. The city refuses to help, and they want you, President Trump, to come in and restore law and order. I want to stress the importance of taking this situation seriously because when I first started reporting on this occupation, I went undercover in Black Bloc. I talked to these Antifa militants. I lasted for about a month. They believe that ICE agents are the Nazi Gestapo who need to be killed. They told me that directly, and I think that if...
Well, yeah, because that's what that's exactly what they believe. They've completely eaten up the bullshit hook, line, and sinker, no second questions. Like, that's the shit they believe in. These people are fucking stupid.
This situation is not taken as seriously as it is. It's just a matter of time before someone gets killed, and thank you for having me.
True.
Thank you, Katie.
It's unfortunate, but it's true.
Incredible. The only question nobody can answer is why. Why are they doing this? They're like insurrectionists. They're terrible people. But you really wonder why. Why are they doing it? What are they gaining other than they're obviously paid? They paid a lot of money. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, if I can answer that question, the reason why they're doing it is because the same media that's sitting in this room with us has declared all of us at this table Nazis and fascists, and they've been doing this for years. This is why Antifa feels
very fucking true. Extremely true. Truest thing I've heard today.
Emboldened to attack us. Now, almost every single person at this table has been threatened with a steel bat. We've been assaulted, we've been harassed, we've been threatened, and that is in huge part due to the media. So my message right now is for you guys. Because 2 years ago, back in 2020...
Yeah, there's Nick.
I was censored for my reporting on Antifa here in Washington, D.C. You were talking about how safe it is now, Mr. President. It wasn't so safe back then. Back in 2020, I watched as a father was being mobbed and surrounded by Antifa members as his terrified, crying children looked on and the police here did nothing. I watched as a woman had her hair violently ripped out of her skull simply for waving an American flag on the streets of Washington, D.C.
That's,
by the way,
what a Nazi.
You won't find any of this footage. You won't find any of it because Twitter deleted all of it because our president shared my reporting and they deleted my entire account immediately.
Yeah, I was about to say, so back in 2020, Twitter was still run by leftists that would just take people's shit down if they didn't like it. So this lady definitely got her shit deleted. And if she only put it on Twitter, not YouTube, well, you also would have got it banned on YouTube. They did blanket censorship across any story they didn't like. That was the Biden administration. They still had people... You still had people from the Obama administration inside these agencies because Trump didn't weed them out. So they were basically still doing shit even though Trump was still kind of president. They still had a lot of control over the system because Trump didn't weed them out. He put bad people in charge. So there was still censorship coming out of these agencies, taking down American citizens and their freedom of speech, not because they violated TOS, but because a Democrat was in a position of power at a public company and they decided to abuse that power. Or because a Democrat was in a position of power at an intel agency and then used that intel agency as a form of intimidation against the publicly traded company. Yeah.
After. So now, if you want to know what happened in 2020, all you're going to see is the media headlines that said it was fiery but mostly peaceful. Thanks for that one, CNN. The reality is that it was an extremely violent period of time, and for the last 10 years, Antifa has been wreaking havoc on law-abiding and innocent American citizens, and it needs to end. Now, I'm with Turning Point USA. It's an honor to be here, Mr. President. Thank you guys so much, everybody in the administration, for giving us a seat at the table, because the media has not only been demonizing us for so long, but immediately after the brutal assassination of our founder, Charlie Kirk, our Turning Point USA chapters have seen an uptick in violence across the nation as Antifa chapters that are embedded in our universities go and target them. It's been extremely difficult to report on the ground.
Yeah, you had kids at a high school that got doxxed by their teachers for wanting to start a Turning Point USA group and were openly encouraging other students to assault them in order to get them to correct their behavior. That shit was fucking crazy. Those were text messages that got leaked on Twitter of a school district. That was like teachers were encouraging other students to assault students. Shit's fucking crazy. You have Jay Jones who said he wanted to murder children, called them little fascists, said he wanted to kill a political opponent. And you have Democrats still coming out in support of him. There's a pattern of retardation, and it's coming straight from the Democrats.
For a long time, I was afraid to go to Portland because I knew that the only people who had my back, like Julio said, were one of my friends on the ground because there was no police force there. I was terrified to go because I knew if I got shot or stabbed, and I have been assaulted, I've been mobbed and robbed in Austin, Texas by Antifa, that nobody would come to help me.
Correct.
So my plea to the entire administration, especially to the DOJ, is every single radical left-winger who is in front of the ICE facility in Chicago, in New York, in Portland, please make sure that you use the full force of the law to come after each and every single one of them, because it is us being soft on left-wing violence that has fomented all of the terror that we have seen in this country, and it is the left-wing getting away time and time again with assaulting law-abiding American citizens that has led us to this place. So
She's speaking
truly,
facts, bro.
the Americans that I speak to on the ground, they feel completely abandoned by their state and local government. So please step in. You have Americans begging for the National Guard. And to the media over here, please report on the truth. Please do your jobs. I'm an American citizen. Everybody at this table simply views ourselves as American citizens who have an iPhone and the will to actually tell the truth.
Yeah, but
So
you're
please
Republican,
do
so
your
they
job.
think you're basically
Tell the
Hitler.
truth to the American people. And thank you for letting me be here on behalf of Charlie to continue his legacy of cleaning up the country. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Wow, you feel very strongly, I can see.
I'm mad. I got beat up so many times, Mr. President. My friends have gotten beaten up, and I want to cry right now from happiness because we have been completely ignored for so long. For almost 10 years, we've been getting assaulted on the streets. I have watched children cry as their parents have been attacked on the streets. That should not be happening at our nation's capital. So
Yeah,
please,
it shouldn't.
Please utilize the full force and go after each and every single one of these people.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Great job. Impassioned. That's important because you should feel like that. Please, go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you for having us here and bringing
Thank you.
together this panel of brave journalists, everybody on this side of the room. And no one can speak to the violence better than these people here. So I think we know that this is not just a story about violence and chaos, as you alluded to, Mr. President. This is a money story. And at the Government Accountability Institute, my colleague and I, Peter Schweitzer and our team, we follow the money. And we followed it to the top of what we call the Protest Industrial Complex, Riot Inc.
The Protest Industrial
And
Complex.
it's not a network of NGOs. It's not just the Soros Network, the Open Society Network. It's other funding networks, the Arabella Funding Network, the Tides Funding Network, Neville Roy Singham and his network, Foreign Cash. And it's also big left-wing funders. Some of them are not citizens of this country. Mr. Hans-Jörg Wyss of Switzerland. They're pouring money into this entire ecosystem. And so I want to share 3 money facts with you about what we call Riot Inc. Number one, like any corporation, Riot Inc. has many divisions. It doesn't just have the Antifa boots on the ground division. It has PR divisions. It has marketing divisions. It has a very well-funded legal division to get these boots on the ground back on the streets as quickly as
The
possible.
Guild of Lawyers, yeah.
It does have
They're
some
showing up.
investment.
Someone's paying them to get
Number
from
two,
point A to point
we've
B.
identified dozens of radical organizations, not just the decentralized Antifa organizations, but dozens of radical organizations that have received more than $100 million from the Riot Inc. investors. These would be the lawyer groups,
Damn.
the groups that advocate for calling good, honest Americans fascists, et cetera. And then 3, I think the most shocking thing is that we have found that more than $100 million in U.S. taxpayer funding has flowed into these funding networks, including at
Not
least $4
surprised.
million to these very groups themselves, not just Antifa types. But,
Thanks, USAID.
there was an event in Atlanta called Stop Cop City. Over 60 rioters were charged with domestic terrorism. These groups received money for that from both the billionaire class as well as taxpayer money. So one other thing, this money helps fund the decentralized crowdfunding platforms. These are ways that Antifa, the John Brown Gun Club of Elm Fork, which had links to that attack on the ICE facility, the Socialist Rifle Association, and just because they don't have LLCs or EIN numbers doesn't mean they can't get paid. Some of these funding platforms, crowdfunding platforms, are funded by this network that we call Riot Inc. So again, I want to
GoFundMe.com.
thank leadership on this. We're going to keep following the money and appreciate everything you're doing, sir.
Do you know the name of any of the funders? Do you know the names? Because if you do, I'd like you to give them to Cash or Pam.
Absolutely.
Trump said, yeah, we're meeting after this. Those people, well, they're going to fucking jail. We'll fund for something. Don't worry. We got them.
Because you probably know the names after a certain period of time. You tend to find out. But these are people that do not have good intention for the country, and that's
No, they do
treasonous,
not.
probably. So if you could, very important, if you could do that, it would be great. Nobody would know better than you. You'll figure it out. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, my name's Nick Shirley. I'm 23 years old. I'm a 100% independent YouTube journalist.
23.
So I've been able to go to 15 countries. I've hung out with people in the
Yeah, this kid is fucking crazy. I had no idea he was so young. I thought he was like 25. He is younger than me by a long shot. Holy shit. Kudos to Nick.
gangs of Brazil, in the favelas, in the prisons of Secot. But yet the most dangerous places I have been here in the United States, unfortunately. And
He went to France where they were having open riots immediately in the street and he didn't get assaulted. He goes to Portland for one night and some crackhead threatens to kill him and bust his skull open. Like, what the fuck, man?
the opportunity to show people about the protest Antifa here in the United States, and there's nothing organic about what they are doing here in the United States. I've watched people be busted in from states. I've watched the same lady at a protest in Atlanta be busted to protest in D.C. and then in New York City. There's nothing that is honest about what they are doing. And they have signs. I've seen the same signs here in D.C. and in London as well. It's a big organization and corporation that they're...
It's a facade. It's a fraud. It's fake. Yeah, it's people that are paid protesters. You can literally look at the crowd and you can find some of the same people. How is someone going from fucking Arizona to D.C. in a week to protest? Because someone else is paying them to do it. That's their fucking job.
They're running. And people may wonder, like, what's the threat to us as Americans if we go? Well, you'll be labeled as a fascist, you'll be labeled as a Nazi, and they'll wish death upon you because they wish death
And they'll try to dox you, they'll try to track you, they'll try to kill you. Yeah, that's exactly right.
upon me. And just last week in Portland, Oregon, I watched a lady get trapped in her car, surrounded by Antifa, and her sister messaged me after seeing the video. She said, the only reason I think my sister was safe is because you were there recording. I also was chased out by a member of Antifa who said he would smoke me, and next thing he knew, a DHS sniper had lasers on his chest. If he was not there, what would have happened that day? These people
All of a sudden, he was no longer a tough guy. He was a little fucking sniveling bitch, because they all are.
They're not enforcing the law. And why should these people be worried if the law is not being enforced? And we are not far right, nor are we far wrong. We're just right. And the truth about what's happening here in America with these groups is very dangerous. And I thank you, Mr. President, and your administration as well for acknowledging that.
Thank you very much. It's too bad you have to go through it.
I know, it's
Thank
so
you very
crazy, right,
much.
Mr. President?
Well, you're going to get to the bottom.
So crazy, right, President?
You're doing. Thank you very much. Please, Cam.
Yeah, I've just got something very short. I'm attacked every time I do my job. When I leave my house to go to work, I am violently assaulted. I've had guns pulled on me. I've been bear sprayed. I've been beaten down. I've been almost killed. So my question for all of you is, how would you feel if every time you showed up to work, masked militants tried to kill you? Because that's how we feel. That's our lived reality. And you guys go and tell us that we're liars, the riots aren't that bad, right? I've never seen any of you guys on the ground. In fact, I've never seen anybody representing the companies you work for on the ground. You guys come to us for interviews that never get...
Well, why would they do that? That hurts their narrative. Why would they report on the news? This is not the propaganda. The propaganda is made in a lab, not on the ground.
Oh, man, yes,
I mean, honestly, it's a simple question.
Well, there's a lot of people in this pool, and I would say I'm not talking about Fox. I'm not talking about Newsmax or any outlet that resembles them, so I'll let you guys put the pieces together on who I'm exactly talking about.
Which network?
MSNBC, for sure. CNN.
Yeah, MSNBC is the one who, after Charlie Kirk got shot at, or was assassinated, I'm sorry, after he got shot in the neck live, they basically said it could be a Trump supporter, and you get what you deserve. You spew hate, you deserve hate coming your way. It's that motherfucker. It's the same one, too, who tried to make justifications at the assassination, or the attempted or the assault, the fucking terrorist attack on the ICE facility in Dallas. It was an MSNBC guy that was like, well, you know, ICE, they're really fascist, they're really evil, they're really out there arresting people, it's scaring people, this might be someone who's scared of them. Like, oh, what? You're humanizing a fucking terrorist right now? Sorry, that guy needs to be fired too. Fucking fire anyone that's saying this shit. These people are mentally fucking retarded, and they don't know it. Society needs to correct this problem.
See it close, yeah.
Yeah, I'd rate it that way, yeah. MSNBC, that's Brian Roberts.
Yeah.
That he allows that to happen is a disgrace.
Absolutely.
And CNN is second.
Yeah,
I would say CNN is not quite.
MSNBC's fucking terrible.
What about
news
others?
site anymore.
Oh,
CNN, I haven't seen too much dog shit from.
MSNBC is sick. They're sick.
Well, sir, it's
who
also
else?
just the stories that they publish about what's the ICE enforcement operations that are so heavily slanted that it's no longer, as I was saying, no longer just Antifa, but Americans that are becoming radicalized. So they've been very irresponsible with how they've been reporting.
Who is
on it.
that?
Well, the news has been irresponsible, but so have the Democrats. Let's not forget Gavin Newsom, the night before the terrorist attack in Dallas, said that black and brown people should feel ICE, and then he called them the fascist arm of the presidency, or Gestapo. He said some crazy rhetoric, and then the next day there's a terrorist attack against ICE. You have Democrats and their rhetoric that has never turned down one bit, while they're now demanding Trump turn down his rhetoric. Like, it's fucking stupid.
MSNBC, for example,
Would you rate them the worst?
probably.
And who would you rate second?
Well, they ran a story about an operation in Southern California about how a father of 3 Marines was arrested, and they made it seem like they just did it because he's brown. But there's video of that same man charging at the agents with a weed whacker. Now, I've worked with weed whackers back in the day, and you don't want to be on the receiving end of one of those. So that's why.
Yeah, they'll give you lacerations. They'll fucking hit your skin really fucking hard. They hurt. Yeah, I mean, it's fucking... trying to swing a weapon at someone's enough reason to arrest them. It's like the fucking... They left the 15-year-old... They left the 5-year-old autistic girl. And the news came out saying that the police were using her as fucking bait. The illegal alien ditched his 5-year-old autistic daughter to run from ICE agents while flipping them off running inside of his house. And then ICE agents refused to give the daughter to anyone else but the father, because they can't confirm anyone coming up saying that's my daughter is real, or is telling the truth or not, because the dad was in the car with her and just abandoned her. And then the news came out saying that they were holding the daughter hostage. Like, the news just lies. When they speak, they lie. There's no point in engaging with most of the news articles I see. I can make video after video after video on all their lies, and the funny part is I still have retards in the comment section saying, you don't know what you're talking about. I could play video after video, and these people will just either dislike it and move on, or say a retarded comment that doesn't matter anyways. Like, people are lost is the issue with nowadays. And it's gotten so bad because they haven't had a reality check. They haven't had a wake-up call. The media's been spoon-feeding them the bullshit, so they haven't seen a reason to stop eating.
That's why he was arrested, but the story was presented as if it's a brown guy just simply being arrested. And I've been around ICE agents, and I'm a citizen, so I feel fine. But it's just...
Yeah, I'm white. Every time I go to the border of Texas, they always stop me too and tell me to speak and ask me if I'm a citizen. They ask everyone those questions because anyone's a fucking immigrant. Anyone could be an illegal immigrant. The whole race thing is actually Democrats self-reflecting because they're self-reporting that they think all immigrants are brown people, which is retarded because anyone can be a fucking immigrant. There's European countries. There's Russia. There's Australia. You could have terrorists coming from there one of these days. Like, the whole narrative of that they're only arresting brown and black people, they're going to LA because it's like one in every 5 people in LA is an illegal immigrant? They can basically stop any 5 people they see on the streets, and one of them is guaranteed to be an illegal alien. That's why they're asking fucking everyone. I was like, you can't use your brain around these people because they don't actually understand anything that's factually based in the world. They just have feelings about how it should be, and everything else is wrong because it doesn't match. Like, there's no logic with anyone saying ICE does not need to be deporting people. There's no logic with them when they're saying that what ICE is deporting is bad. It's just they feel like it's bad. Why? Because they think America seriously shouldn't have borders.
That's why. It's not just Antifa. It's not happening in a vacuum. It's
working in conjunction. I think they work in conjunction with some of the media. I think ABC is very bad. I think NBC is very bad. And CBS has a new owner. So we have hope for CBS. CBS has a great new owner, in my opinion. But I will tell you, ABC is terrible. NBC is terrible. NBC's MSNBC too. You know, they changed it. They moved it over legally so they couldn't be tainted by the words MSNBC. But they are absolutely terrible. There are a lot of them. What about independents? Independent networks.
They're a little bit better, but I would say that we're an example of how you don't need to be part of.
I like how Trump's putting him on the spot. Start listing off news networks you hate. We're going to compare lists. You and me after, we're talking. It's like Henry Cavill and that other guy start talking about Warhammer. It's the same thing. It's like, we need to have a conversation here. I personally hate the news more than you, but we're going to have a good conversation about which ones you hate and why. We can come to some conclusions here. It's fucking hilarious.
Of a super large company to be able to do just basic journalism. All you got to do is sit and record, and you'll let the story play out. And that's why they hate us. That's why Antifa targets us.
A level of dishonesty that's incredible, where answers are changing.
The issue is it never makes it to court because the DAs will drop the charges before it gets there in these leftist cities. So that's why they don't show up in the statistics. I've already said this in the same video, but it rarely actually makes it to court because they'll post bail immediately and the DA will drop charges like a week later. Oh, they got arrested. They're going to be back on the street that night. Oh, God, it did nothing because they don't actually have any consequences to their actions because they're fucking leftist, socialist, crazy retards, and Democrats want them to continue political violence on their behalf.
Like just before the election and answer.
The issue is Democrats don't realize that once Republicans, if we were to be gone and it was just Democrats, the moment they start saying, okay, maybe we should not have open borders, they'd be the new Republicans immediately. Because these people don't have logic with anything they say. They just arbitrarily apply terms to you, and now you're that. Oh, you're fascist. Why? Because you don't want crime in your city. You're racist because you don't want crime in your city. You're xenophobic because you don't want crime in your city. Like, these people, they don't have real articulate arguments for anything they call you. It's merely to justify the violence they commit against you. They call you a fascist so they can kill you. Not because you're a fascist, but because they want you dead.
It was changed by Kamala. She gave a horrible, death-defying, election-defying answer. And they took the answer out and they replaced it with another answer that she gave 5
60 Minutes. He won a lawsuit against that.
minutes later, having to do with a different subject, but at least it wasn't election-defying. No, the level of dishonesty with the media is...
Well, Trump's ignoring the fact that the Democrats heavily censored the media and controlled the narrative around the Hunter Biden laptop story. Democrats that weren't even in office, but FBI under Trump when he was still president, were sending Facebook and Twitter removal notices to take shit down. They were telling them to take it down. I want to say it was some crazy statistic, 1 in 3 Democrats was saying that they would flip their vote if they knew the Hunter Biden laptop story was real from Biden to Trump. That's why the news works so hard for their propaganda. They put this stuff in place for them to be able to activate their propaganda on demand because they just need a little bit of time to influence something. It doesn't have to work a week later. It just needs to work right now. And it worked in that election.
It's incredible, whether it's on Antifa or many of the other groups. You're talking about Antifa, and I know that's close to your heart because that's the one that's most affecting you. But there are others that are as bad or almost as bad as Antifa, having to do with different people, different sections of the world. But it's terrible. We're not going to let it go on in this country. We're not going to let it go on.
I wonder which one he's talking about. I wanted to know Antifa.
Some of the networks out there, and you do wonder why. You really do. Okay, please. Go ahead, yeah.
Mr. President, thank you again.
Thank you.
My name is Jonathan Cho. I'm an investigative reporter for Frontlines Turning Point USA. I'm also a senior fellow at Discovery Institute in Seattle. And I cover far-left extremism as well as the homeless drug crisis in America. And I find it oftentimes...
Homeless drug crisis? Bro, y'all see how much money they spent on every homeless person so far in LA? They've spent $900,000 per homeless person to try to fix the homelessness there, and admin fees and all these other campaigns of wasted money. $900,000 per person. You could buy them 2 homes. and then pay taxes off for the rest of their life and let them live in there. Instead, they waste all the money on admin and overhead fees and random campaign finance fees, all this shit that never matters, the homeless people never see an actual penny of that shit. It's fucking crazy to me.
Those worlds intersect. And hot off the presses, what I wanted to bring to your attention today is a report from a Capital Research Center here in DC in conjunction with Discovery Institute. They just put out this study right now. And what it shows is that Antifa is heavily embedded in the homeless and housing nonprofit sector. In many cases, the homeless industrial complex is running cover for Antifa. Antifa is benefiting from American tax dollars, and they're essentially being used as the muscle.
Holy shit.
There's a group called Stop the Sweeps in many U.S. cities right now. They get in front of encampment sweeps. What they're doing quietly is they're bringing in Antifa militants to manufacture a crisis to make the police look bad. Another group right now that is behind Antifa and working with Antifa very closely, based on the research that we have right now that we're going to give.
How do they manufacture a crisis?
Are the Democratic Socialists of America, also known as DSA. Again, these far-left progressive groups tend to be aligning themselves with Antifa. So finally, in closing, what I wanted to thank you again, Mr. President, is that a few months ago, earlier this year, you put out an executive order on homelessness and the drug addiction crisis in America, and that's sent the entire homeless industrial complex on the run. You have absolutely moved the needle and changed the game. But what's also come out, again,
I don't know his
that
executive
there's a
order.
connection, a deeply embedded connection with the homeless housing nonprofit game in America, connected to Antifa and the far-left activists. And finally, I just wanted to say that all of our resources at Turning Point USA and Discovery Institute are at your disposal, and we will continue again to carry on the legacy of Charlie Kirk. He would have wanted us to pursue and chase the story.
I mean, to be fair, anyone undercovering corruption should be worth funding, right? Like, you want corruption stamped out everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat, as long as you're a sound human being of sound, rational thought. So, but that's crazy if so. Like, if fucking they're using homeless people as a front for Antifa and giving them money that's supposed to go to homeless people, it's going to Antifa instead. I mean, I could see it's plausible, but fuck, that's crazy. I know in Texas there was a funny thing where like it was Governor Greg Abbott would give fucking homeless people like $100 and a fucking bus ticket to any other state to get them out of the fucking cities. And Houston was a shithole because there were so many fucking homeless people on every corner. Such a massive city and so many fucking homeless people too.
Well, he was a good friend of mine, as you know, and he helped us get elected. Us, it really is us. It's even some of them, but not too many of them, not enough of them. And did you notice when we mentioned CNN and MSDNC, the cameras went off. 2 of the cameras immediately went off, but they're not going to cover it anyway. The problem.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. What was it? Mike Johnson started talking about the government shutdown, and like 3 of the major news orgs, the moment he started talking about them blaming Democrats, they immediately cut away and started talking about everything else. They completely cut away to stop what he was saying, because he was saying Democrats are allowing illegal aliens to get Medicaid still, which they are. They're in the healthcare system and ERs. The way it currently works is they go to the ER rooms and the federal government covers the emergency funds for the people that they don't know of. Unfortunately, they've been not allowing homeless people, they've been allowing illegal aliens to take advantage of that system to allow them to go to the ER and let the government cover the bill. And Trump, that's when they got cut off recently. That's why Democrats are freaking out, because their voter base is a bunch of illegal aliens, and now they're finding they can't go to the ER anymore. And I'm seeing the alternative. Should we just let him die? We should get him out of our fucking country. I think that's a better conclusion. Or bill whatever home country they came from. Like, what the fuck? Why do we need to pay for it? They came here illegally, now they're sick, and now we'll have to pay for that too? Are you fucking kidding me? Is there anything I don't have to pay for?
What we have is that this is a very important meeting, but you'll see very little press about it. These are major statements being made by major people, including the people right here, and you're not going to see too much about it. They don't like to cover this kind of thing. It's very dishonest.
No, they don't. That's why I saw this going on. I thought it would be worth making a video out of. I know it's going to be a long one. I apologize in advance. I'm trying not to pause it as much. But yeah, this is something that I figure that Third News ain't going to cover, and I want to see it.
A big factor. Please, go ahead. Thank you, James.
Mr. President, thank you so much for having us all here to bring attention to this matter. You did mention MSDNC, CNN, a handful of those other outlets that have been lying about, various things, but especially what ICE, the brave men and women over at ICE have been doing. I was talking to Antifa members in Portland the other day, and a lot of these people genuinely believe, they buy these lies, and they genuinely believe that they're fighting against literal Nazis and not brave men and women that are putting their lives on the line to basically, enforce basic immigration law, right? That everyone seemed to agree with up until maybe a few years ago, a handful of years ago. So once again, thank you so much for having me. My name is James Klug. While my primary job is traveling around the country, having conversations with Americans about various political topics and issues, I have had a lot of run-ins with Antifa over the last 5 years. And I do think that Antifa is a primary reason why many conservatives are afraid to go out and protest and make their voices heard and maybe bring friends and family to a demonstration and exercise their First Amendment right, because they are literally deathly afraid. I talk to these people all the time. They're afraid of militants showing up in black bloc and hurting them and their families. And, I have witnessed, I personally...
Yeah, I'm more afraid going out to these of me getting doxxed and some retard threatening to kill me or my family because I decided to show up at a parade and I thought it would be kind of cool to see what our country spends all of our fucking money on for the military. Like, These people are just crazy. That's the issue, is they're crazy and they're vocally violent, and the FBI isn't arresting enough of them. Start arresting more of them, and you're going to get that mindset to change, because you're going to start putting the crazy people in fucking jail where they belong. Just make sure it's not one of those Democrat shitholes where they let out fucking 25 times convicted homeless people that then murder fucking college co-eds. Like, don't put them in those cities. Don't arrest them there. Put them in a real fucking city that actually knows how to use the prison system right.
Personally witnessed Antifa assaulting hundreds of police officers. I've witnessed them firebombing police departments and federal property. I've witnessed them making death threats against federal agents, police officers.
There's videos of them firebombing multiple police agencies, and then there's no arrests that ever come out of it. It's fucking crazy. I say police agencies, police offices in places like Seattle and Portland and Oregon, like those cities like that is where you see some crazy shit happen and no one ever gets arrested for it.
Journalists. I think I've witnessed every single person here, maybe not personally, but I've seen them get, hunted down and attacked. And so, this is a group that is responsible for a good percentage, if not a majority, of the violent riots in 2021 and 2020, when Democrat mayors had a kind of a hands-off approach with these left-wing militants. Just as a quick reminder for everybody, we're talking about dozens of murders that happened in those riots. We're talking about billions of dollars of damage to property and communities all over the country. We're talking about thousands of officer injuries.
George Floyd died and Democrats burned like 10 fucking cities to the ground. Charlie Kirk died and there have been no riots. None. And that says more about the difference between Republicans and Democrats than you could ever imagine. That tells you all you need to know.
So this isn't just like some little thing that they're, they punch a journalist here and there. No, they're responsible for a lot of damage and a lot of people that have, unfortunately died and basically suppressing people's voices, And so what I do want to talk about is to get this footage, almost every single person in the room here, to get this footage, you have to go undercover because you are at risk of being beaten or worse. You have to go undercover. You have to film low-key to capture them committing crimes. This is stuff that the mainstream media was not doing and has not been doing. They'll show when Antifa...
Yeah, you got to like have those hidden cameras on you, to be honest, if you actually want to see them doing the crazy shit, because if they see a real camera, they'll just immediately assault you before they're doing something else. You got to have like a fucking hidden camera or a hidden mic on you. It's your best chance to see the crazy shit that these people actually do. Because they do some shit in the open, but there's probably 10 times worse behind closed doors of them openly plotting to kill the president. You're saying some absolutely treasonous shit.
Antifa is maybe it's a little bit more peaceful, and they'll show when it's more mellow, but they'll remove the cameras when things get violent and it's actually dangerous to be here. And I've personally witnessed legacy media vans showing up at a riot 300 yards away, getting out of the vehicle, filming for 30 seconds, saying something like, fiery but mostly peaceful, packing up, and to add insult to injury, you have Democrat politicians that are saying, it's just an idea, right? That's all this is, so it's just an idea. After all of this chaos, it's just an idea. Well, that idea has threatened to kill me and many of my friends that are here today. So, Mr. President, thank you so much for bringing this to the forefront, and it's definitely making a big change. Really appreciate you.
One question. So why is it there are numerous groups? I mean, Antifa's terrible, but you have other groups that I guess probably are almost as bad or just as bad. Not one other group was mentioned. I'm sort of surprised at that.
Well, yes, because right now they're all unorganized under the Antifa branch. That's what I was saying earlier. It doesn't matter what flag they're waving. They're all sort of the same no matter what they say. Communist, socialist, Antifa, Marxist, whatever ist or group you want to say, they're all coming together for this anarchy, for this violence. It's a group of people that are coming together for violence, and it doesn't matter what flag they have up. It's the violence is what they have the commonality in. Everyone's calling them Antifa. There's a lot of Antifa, but there's a lot more than just Antifa. That is entirely true.
You just come into contact with Antifa? It seems to be that you mostly come into contact with Antifa, please.
There's a lot of overlap, and I would say that, for instance, Jonathan brought up the Democratic Socialists of America. They're basically the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of Democratic Socialists of America who are out there in black bloc, hiding their faces, and so I think we use, and I do understand.
They blend in with Antifa too. Yeah, that's the same thing. Is these people are probably a part of multiple different like crazy far leftist group. They're blending in. They're dressing in the same uniform, and that's why the media's like, they're not organized. Like, motherfucker. They just all happen to know to show up in black and attack journalists. It's kind of crazy.
For the record, I do understand the challenge, as Andy pointed out, with Antifa as a graspable entity. I do. But at the end of the day, when you look at behavior, you prosecute behavior, right? We're not prosecuting ideas or ideology. You're prosecuting behavior. So whether you can prove that this amorphous thing is Antifa or someone has a patch that says Antifa, it doesn't matter. Did they assault someone? Did they assault a federal agent? Were they engaged in rioting? What is it? And so they're always using that, oh, well, they don't call themselves Antifa, even though some of them literally do. It's called Rose City Antifa. How long has it been around in Portland, Andy?
Since 2007.
They call themselves...
Yeah. That was the funniest part, where there's like, there's no Antifa, and I was like, dude, there's literally, if you go to rosecityantifa.org, which is an organization website only given to organizations, it talks about them, how to openly protest and how to get in contact with them so they can filter to see if you're a journalist or not, or if you're an actual fucking freedom fighter, if you're an actual anarchist. Like, I'm sorry it isn't a Facebook group that you can just join immediately. What? They're committing terroristic acts. You think they're just going to allow anyone in? They're deathly afraid of the FBI. They probably have some crazy-ass initiation rituals where you're committing multiple fucking felonies.
Antifa. In Seattle, I was outside the federal building, and they were yelling, "There's no police here. This is Antifa land." And at the same time, Democrats, like our governor, "Oh, Antifa is an idea." But yeah, I think Antifa can overlap with a lot of other entities and organizations.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You know, President Trump, I just want to add this real quick because you were asking which mainstream media outlet is the worst. What I think, it's any of them that decided to call Kilmar Abrego Garcia Maryland's dad. Because when I'm out...
Yeah, that's how they lie. Maryland dad. Calling him a Maryland dad was the craziest fucking lie humanly possible. You can almost always tell when someone does something terrible by what they say. There was a news article saying a man had sex with a 13-year-old. A drag queen had sex with a 13-year-old. And everyone's like, you legally cannot consent at that age. Like, that's rape. That's just straight up rape. And the news is saying he had sex. No, that's rape. The fuck? That's how they lie, is they literally use euphemisms where they shouldn't. Because it's bad against them, because they don't want people to understand that there's predators in the fucking drag community. Instead of calling out the bad behavior, they protect it.
Out there on the street talking to these people, you know, they call Maryland dad is this human, he's actually a human trafficking MS-13 gang.
Yeah, he got pulled over in a car with like fucking 10 people that didn't have a driver's license. He was fucking human trafficking people into America. It's fucking crazy he didn't get deported off that.
Gang member that's illegally in the country. But the amount of people on the street that I spoke with that thought that he was a U.S. citizen that was being deported to Uganda is dangerous.
That is true. I had so many arguments with people who were like, he's a citizen. It's like, he's not a fucking citizen. He's an illegal alien. The fuck? Dude was never a fucking citizen.
These people genuinely believe, based on what comes out of the garbage standing over here, that you guys are deporting U.S. citizens. So that's
so when you have a governor like Pritzker in Chicago, where you have Illinois.
I think this is actually pretty good because it gives Trump a temperature check with people around him that aren't always around him. He's getting to see what outside perspectives and outside viewers are saying is actually happening when these narratives come out. Because Trump says one thing, but the media says something entirely different, but the people around him are also probably saying something that's not quite exactly what the media is saying. These are random journalists that he invited up here to basically tell him the truth. I think this is pretty good. I think this will maybe help Trump quickly declare more fucking people to go to jail.
Which is in a lot of trouble. Chicago's there.
More terrorists go to jail.
Again, it's not great now, but it could be great again. That's why we have to get there soon, because eventually you can't do that. What makes a man like that say that things are wonderful? Why doesn't he say, we love that President Trump is going to come and help us clean up Chicago and make it safe?
Because it's him admitting that he's let the crime get out of control and that it's his fault that it's gone so bad. So when election cycles come, people are going to be like, hey, didn't this guy say Trump was actually the one fixing this problem? Why don't we vote more people in like Trump? That's why. It's literally a fear. They are fucking afraid because they've made these systems so dog shit because their empathy is too fucking retarded to actually make logical sense to put criminals in fucking jail. So they've ruined their neighborhoods. And Trump is showing them they don't have to live in fucking fear. It's that simple.
Safe again, as opposed to fighting us and pretending that there weren't 50 murders and 200 shootings and all of that. Why is that? Go ahead, Nick.
To spite you. To spite the administration. That's simply what it's about at this point. Because, you know, if you go and talk to some of these citizens, like I'll use Portland as an example again because I've been there for so long now. You talk to the neighbors that live in the apartments next door to the ICE facility. They're veterans with PTSD that live there, and they're here all night long, screaming, fireworks being lit off by these rioters, children crying because they can't sleep at night and they're scared of all the noise outside, and they can't leave. They got a lease. You can't just leave. These people aren't wealthy individuals, and that's one of the major problems. And these people are afraid to come out and speak out. And they're getting no help from the government at all. They've been begging for the noise ordinance to be enforced outside of their apartment complex for months.
Well, they won't enforce it because it's against Antifa. This is very basic levels of corruption in the government, and this is why elections have consequences.
Now, and the city of Portland has ignored them every single time. The victims are, as I said, they're afraid, but the governments aren't doing anything because they want to spite the administration. It's all political.
And the politicians make you feel like you're foolish, like there's something wrong. How could President Trump be saying that about Chicago? And yet, the night before, you see that 11 people were shot.
Yeah, because they're not reporting that the 11 people got shot. They're not going to report that. That's crime. Then they don't want to admit there's a crime problem. It's that easy. It's just propaganda.
5 people died, and you have them talking about like it's a wonderful situation.
There's more of a death count in Chicago than there are some countries in the Middle East that are actively at war. That's the fucking crazy part. That's the fucking crazy fact here. It's a fucking PvP zone. Trump is showing them they don't have to be flagged for PvP anymore, boys.
They make you feel guilty. And a lot of people don't get over that. They just don't get over it. I think they convince the people. Do wealthy people leave too or not? Places like Portland, are the wealthy people leaving? People that can leave, are they leaving?
I think that they're moving to the
I think that that's what you're seeing is all the wealthy people are leaving. That's why you have Democrats fleeing the fucking California. They're fleeing the West Coast and going elsewhere, but then they're retarded and still vote the same dog shit policies that turn their cities into crime-ridden hellholes.
that have been gentrified. I mean, the Oregon governor, when she was saying, we don't need Trump here, she's walking around, it's a very tight shot, if you notice that. And she said, Portland's just fine, you know, look at me.
Yeah, she takes a picture of a single park in some yuppity neighborhood and says, look, we're all good here. That was the fucking meme of, okay, now here's a video of Nick Shirley almost getting beat to death last night. What are you going to say about that? I replied to her tweet. I actually put that on there, the video of him, basically the Antifa guy threatened to kill him, and then DHS puts a sniper on him. Like, here's the reality of the situation. You could take a absolute propaganda screenshot and frame it, oh, look at how beautiful it is. But if you expand the frame and look at the full city, you have a lawless block that you aren't enforcing. You're letting those people be subject to terrorists.
Me, and they'll focus on the couple areas of Portland
Well,
that are
she was
very
saying
nice.
that, and there were explosions in the background.
Yeah. I mean,
We
there was a
don't
reason
need
they cropped it in.
explosions in the background. Anybody have anything else to say over here? And then we'll get you. Will you be taking questions, or is it just a waste of time? Because they can ask questions, but, well, there's Brian, he's good. But you know what? In a way, it's a waste of time, because if you give a great answer, they don't put it on. If you give a horrendous answer, or even if you give a great answer, they make it sound like it's not a great answer. They're very dishonest. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, and I think part of that dishonesty comes from what they see. For instance, I've never been asked to go on any other show besides Fox News. My clips go viral everywhere, but they've never even asked, like CNN's ever asked, MSNBC.
Yeah, because Fox is the only one that actually wants you on there because you're going to tell them what your viewers want. It's because they are ideologically captured. They don't actually want to report news. They don't want to report story. They want to give a framing about how bad, or they want to give a framing about what they view in the world as right. And they know you're reporting what's happening on the ground, and what's happening on the ground goes exactly against their narrative. So they're not going to have you on there. Like, that's pretty basic. It's just basic levels of propaganda. They don't want people to know this is their fault. So they're just not going to report on it. They're not going to have journalists on there talking about it.
MSNBC's never asked. And a lot of times when I go to hotels, I'll stay and I'll watch like MSNBC.
Fortunately, their ratings are terrible.
They are terrible.
MSNBC is dying, and CNN is dying like a dog.
And
Poor CNN. It's so pathetic.
It is very
You ever
pathetic.
see
Poor
the thing in the evening?
CNN.
It's
So
moving
pathetic.
around.
Like a dog with a limp. Like a horse with a limp. Just put him down. Send him to the glue factory.
Yeah, it's not hard
They'll
to
be
know
better
what
as glue, trust me. I like glue.
They don't
Tastes
believe in
great.
the star system, you know.
Works good too at stopping stuff, but tastes great.
Yeah,
Are you
thank you very
finished, Nick? Good job. Thank you very much. Well, you've been through hell, I tell you that. But you're really incredible patriots, incredible people. Go ahead, please, Brian. Brian, go ahead.
I'm so thankful for each and every one of you here right now. I'm very grateful that my network, Real American Voice, has partnered up with many of you, Jack Sobin, you have a show on network, many of you, Savannah.
All right, I got no idea what he's saying. I'm going to cut it here, though. There's a little bit more. It looks like it's probably the crowd interviewing. But yeah, it's pretty good of Trump talking about Antifa. I want to see Trump doing more to restore order in America, and I feel like this is a really good start. Getting the terrorists off the street that are using political violence to silence dissent to anything that they say, no matter how retarded it is, needs to stop. We're not going to be able to ever come together as a nation and have useful discussions when we have people that are allowed to assault or make terroristic threats of murder against people. Like, let's be real. I think Trump coming down with this roundtable will actually, I think maybe this will help. Hopefully this gave him a realist perspective of what's happening on the ground a little bit more than what he's seeing. But these are all people, everyone in that room has had a viral clip of Antifa in the past week. That's the crazy thing. They've all been on the ground. They've all been reporting on it. This isn't isolated. These are all separate viral clips of Antifa being assaulted or trying to assault or physically assaulting most of these people in this room. Because Antifa is a terrorist organization. And the people that call themselves Antifa are terrorists. That's the issue. Because we're not talking about the old people that are like, I want to fight fascism. We're talking people that are all decked out in black saying, I'm going to fucking kill you if you don't stop filming me while I try to throw a pipe bomb at fucking federal agents. Yeah, I think America has a big problem that they need to stomp out. And I feel like we're in the right direction to start stomping. So we'll see how it plays, though. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hopefully this was a better video than some of the other ones I've done recently. And this is a bit of a longer one, so I do apologize for that. But I like to rant, I like to ramble. So hopefully you got something useful out of it. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Hope you have a wonderful time. I'll catch you in the next video. Until then, later.